The business attributes which I am looking for by supporting my investment philosophy is I want to buy low debt, debt-free companies, sound business models, very high promoter holding, low pledged or no pledged shares, very old businesses, at least it should have an experience of 15 years, easy to understand business, growth, good management pedigree and trustworthy promoters, growing sales, growing profits, stocks near or below their intrinsic values. Those stocks which are cyclical will benefit from the business upcycle and commodity upcycle. Promoter increasing stake, high return on equity, high return on capital employed. Companies benefiting from operating leverage in the future due to underutilized capacity currently, low PEG ratio, high interest coverage, a high competitive advantage due to long-standing relationship with their customers, logistical advantages, lowest cost manufacturer. This is what I am looking at. I'm looking at the buyer bargaining power with their suppliers. If a company is debt-free and cash rich, they can have a good bargaining power with their suppliers. And I want to find such businesses which are low on receivable days, the businesses which have high entry barriers due to location advantage. In case of cement plant, if you see cement plant, the manufacturing process is the same. However, only those companies who have location advantage, either if they are located closer to market or if they are located closer to the raw material, only then that company can create big margins. So in that case, we need to find such businesses which have such entry barriers due to location advantage, huge capital investment to replace their capacities as a competitor, depressed earnings now in cyclical stocks, but as debt-free companies, these are least affected. When I'm buying a debt-free company, even though, see, even if the business is down in this coronavirus scare, if the company is debt-free and if it is cash rich, how does that matter for that company? They have enough cash on their balance sheet to survive for next 1.5 years or 1 year, something like that. So if you want to, if we find such opportunities which are debt-free, cash rich, and if just because of the market scare, if a debt-free company comes down, who is the lowest cost manufacturer, there is a great opportunity to grapple those stocks. Why? Because at some point of time, this negativity will be gone. And if you think that humanity is here to survive, then economy will revive, stock markets will also revive. So if you think like that, and if you buy the lowest cost manufacturer of a commodity company which is debt free, cash rich, at rock bottom valuation, half times its net worth, then you are here to create wealth for yourself. You are here to create fortune for yourself. So I want to buy those businesses currently which because of cyclicity their earnings are depressed. But at these debt-free companies, this will be least affected, and whenever the cycle turns, we will be going to make big money. I want to buy old economy stocks. Why? Because see, in case of banks, if you want to buy a bank, uh, uh, bank has nothing called as book value. Everything is in air. So if somebody buys thinking that just based on book value, he will be in big trouble. And in old economy stocks, at least they have assets. Whenever there is liquidation, if a company is debt free, cash rich company, and even whenever the liquidation happens, if there are no people taking, means if there are no liabilities, then whenever the company will be liquidated, the all the cash will be distributed among the shareholders. So when you buy a debt free, cash rich company and below their net worth, at least you have that confidence. Even if the company fails, at least you will be titled to the liquidation value. So I'm not looking at new economy stocks. Even in case of IT stocks, there is nothing called as book value, because everything is human capital. And if employees leave, there is nothing in a software company which can keep them alive. So I am looking at asset rich companies. Asset are real assets. I don't want to put my money where there is no real asset. And that is the reason why I told earlier also to all my clients, to all my JV partners, and to all my consultation private channel clients, that I am looking only at assets. Why? Because assets are assets are real. Other thing which everything is in air. So I don't want to buy all those stocks. I just want to buy only old economy stocks. Promoters experience in the same business of more than decade and proven track record. So whenever we are talking about fortune creation, we must talk, we must see that how very different periods in stock markets have created a fortune for the shareholders. So if we see from 1995 to 2002, Indian stock market, first fortune creation period started. I am talking about fortune creation. Even before that, because of Harshad Mehta and all, it was a bull run, but I don't consider that a real bull run. Why? Because it was a Harshad Mehta scam. So I'm considering, I'm deleting that, and I'm considering stock market fortune creation journey from 1995 to 2002. So this is the first fortune creation. You would have been crorepati during that time if you had bought these stocks in 1996 to 2002 period. If you had bought Britannia in 1995, you have made like 10x. If you had bought ITC in 1995, you have made like 6x. If you had bought Wipro in 1995, you have made like 200x. If you had bought Infosys in 1995, you have made like 200x. If you have made, if you have bought Dr. Reddy's in 1995, you have made 10x. So this period clearly tells you that 1995 to 2002 was a period of IT and pharma. So all those who bought these stocks created fortune for themselves. However, at the same point of time, just looking at the stock markets and looking at the company making consistent profit, if you had bought old economy stocks from 1995 to 2002, from 1995 to 2002, Tata Steel was trading at around 174 rupees in 1994, and by 2000 to 2001, Tata Steel stock price was around 30 to 40 rupees. So at the same point of time when IT created huge wealth, old economy stocks actually lost your wealth and it eroded like 50 to 60%. BHEL was trading at the same price range from 95 to 2001 to 2002. It was trading at 10 to 15 in 1995, and again it was trading at 10 to 15 in 2001 to 2002. So at the same point of time when IT created wealth, BHEL was down. Steel Authority was trading at 55 rupees in 1995. By 2002, it was trading at 4 rupees. So if you had bought old economy stock like SAIL, you have eroded like 90% of your wealth. Vedanta, if you had bought in 1995, you would have lost 90% of your wealth by 2002. So old economy stocks, with this we have learned, Larsen and Toubro was trading at 42 rupees in 96 and 42 rupees in 2003 again. So with this we have learned that old economy stocks were the underperformance, or actually they destructed huge wealth for its shareholders. So if you have bought IT and pharma, you have created fortune. If you have gone the other way around, you have not, actually you have destructed your wealth. So this is the reality. Even if the company is performing, you will not create profits. So second fortune creation phase is from 2002 to 2008 period. If somebody had bought these stocks, they have wasted their time, money and energy. If somebody had bought Infosys, just looking at the past return from 95 to 2002, if somebody had bought Infosys in 2000 to 2002, Infosys was trading at around 200 to 220, and again it came down to 40 rupees in 2004 period, and again in 2006 again it was trading at the same price range from 200 to 220. So if you had bought Infosys, you have not created huge wealth, or you have actually stuck up for 6 years at just buying Infosys and just seeing past return if you have bought that. If somebody had bought Dr. Reddy's, seeing the past returns from 2001 to 2010 period, it was trading in the same range. If somebody had bought Hindustan Unilever from 2000 to 2010, Hindustan Unilever was trading at 300 rupees in 2000, and by 2010, again it was trading at 300 rupees. So do you think that Hindustan Unilever did not do or did not grow its profits from 2000 to 2010? It is not like that. Just because the sector was out of favor, it did not create wealth for its shareholders. So no matter how research you do, how good research you do, how best your stock picking skills are, if you have bought a stock in its bad period, means out of favor period, you are not going to create any money in stock market. So at the same point of time when IT and pharma, IT pharma FMCG did not perform from 2002 to 2008 period. From 2002 to 2008 period was a period of old economy stocks. So 2002 to 2008, BHEL became 13x, From 2003 it was trading at 29. It went up to 370 rupees in 2007. Larsen and Toubro, it was trading at 40 rupees in 2002. It went to 1000 rupees. It created like 25x. Steel Authority created like 30x kind of wealth from 2002 to 2007. In 2002 period, it was trading at 9 rupees. However, in 2001, it was trading at 4 rupees. So from 4 rupees, it has went up 60x. From 9 rupees, it has went up 30x. So at least some of the investors have at least created 10x kind of return if the stock has gone up 30x. So that kind of fortune, lot of investors created by buying old economy stock from 2002 to 2008 period. From 2002 to 2008 period, again Tata Steel became 11x. Vedanta became 150x. Just see, the share price of Vedanta was 1 rupee 20 paisa to 1 rupee 80 paisa in 2002, and by 2008 Vedanta became 150x. So at the same point of time, if somebody bought Infosys, he has created zero wealth. If somebody had bought Vedanta during that period, he has created like 150x. At least 50x to banta hai. 50x some investor may have made if the stock has gone up like 150x. Unitech become like 1000x. Unitech was an old economy stock, and again old economy stock became like 1000x from 2002 to 2008 period. So with this, it is clear that it is very important to find bull market sector, bull market leader. With this, we will come to the third phase of fortune creation. Third phase of fortune creation is from 2008 to 2014 and from 2014 to 2020. So if somebody had bought these stocks, they have created huge wealth. Just at the same point from 2002 to 2008 period, Dr. Reddy's was trading at the same price range. However, if somebody bought Dr. Reddy's in 2008, they have created like 10x kind of wealth. Stock became 10x. If the stock has become 10x, at least some investor have made 5x on that, on this stock. So Ajanta Pharma became 80x. If you can see this chart, Ajanta Pharma from 2001 to 2008, it was trading in the same price range. It was trading in the same price range. So after big consolidation, what happened? Whenever this stock came in favor, this company went up like 80x. So somebody who had bought Ajanta Pharma in 2008 period, Ajanta Pharma became 28, it was at 28 rupees, and by 2015 it created like 80x kind of wealth for its shareholders. So one more ultra bagger, if you had bought Bajaj Finance in 2008, it was trading at 5 rupees. It went to recently actually 5,000 rupees. So at the same point of time when Bajaj Finance, so it is very clearly evident that 2008 to 2014 was a period of pharma and some NBFCs. So at the same point of time from 2008 to 14, lot of other stocks created wealth. These stock, if you had bought Ajanta Pharma in 2015, by 2015 to 2020, Ajanta Pharma is trading at the same range. And even after such big bull run also in pharma, it is trading at the same range. So DLF, if somebody had bought DLF in 2008 period, it created like, it lost like 90% wealth. Steel Authority, it was trading at 300 rupees in 2008. Just by seeing past returns in 2008, because Steel Authority became like 30x from 2002 to 2008. And if somebody has seen that and invested in Steel Authority, looking at the past returns, if somebody had bought Steel Authority in 2008, he has lost like 90% of wealth because recent stock price was 22 rupees. So it lost big wealth for its shareholders from 2008 to 2020 period. So Tata Steel was trading at 200 rupees in 2008. It is trading at 288 rupees till now. So if somebody had bought this stock, he has not created any wealth. So it is very clearly evident that 8 to 10 years of sectorial underperformance brings 4 to 6 years of outperformance. If you see, when old economy stock created huge wealth from 2002 to 2008 period, before that what happened? It was for 6 to 7 years, the sector was underperforming. Like Steel Authority actually it was going down before that period. So with this, it is clearly evident that 8 to 10 years of sectorial underperformance brings 4 to 6 years of outperformance. And selective stocks, if picked right with great delta in profits, can create fortune for investors. For example, from 2002 to 2008 period, it was a bull market for pharma sector. No, the bull market was for old economy stocks, and the entire pharma sector was out of favor. However, pharma companies continued to show profits. So do you think that from 2002 to 2008 period, Dr. Reddy's did not grow its profit or Ajanta Pharma did not grow its profit? It is not like that. It is just because the sector was out of favor. Investor did not create any wealth from that sector from 2002 to 2008 period. But pharma companies started coming in favor in 2008 and by 2015, selective stocks like Ajanta Pharma became 80x, which was trading at ridiculously low valuation in 2007 to 8. So if you want to create fortune, you have to buy the stocks which are trading at ridiculously low valuations. I am talking about low valuation. We don't compromise on quality. The quality should be good and the valuation should be so ridiculous that it should feel that this company is the company bankrupt or something like that. So only then you will be creating huge wealth for you. So no matter how continuous profit a company generates, if a sector is out of favor, then one cannot make fortune creating profits. Only betting blindly on long term is very difficult because people don't have unlimited patience. So finding a patch of 5 to 6 year period of supernormal profit period can be extremely rewarding. And a lot of people see just profits and they don't see valuation. And if they don't see valuation, they are not going to create wealth. So these were the learnings which we have seen from the past examples. This is the past, but what about future? So if we have to create fortune for ourselves, we need to find next upcoming bull market leader. So I think personally that old economy stocks will be the leaders of bull market. Why? Because from 2002 to 2008 period was a flourishing period for the old economy stocks and brought lot of overcapacities in the sector, which was hunting the sector from the past 10 years. If you have seen, lot of companies like Bhushan Steel and all, they went for capacity expansion in 2006 to 2007 period and 8 period, just thinking that whatever happened from 2002 to 2008 period, it will repeat again for 10 years. Just because of that, what happened? Lot of companies added capacities in steel plants. Lot of companies added capacities in power plants like JP Power, like Reliance Power and all these companies. So overcapacity was haunting this sector or old economy stocks from 2008 to 2018 because it was too huge and lot of companies took debt, and because of debt these companies went bankrupt. Lot of companies like Bhushan Steel and Power and all these companies actually went bankrupt. And in 2018, because of IBC bankruptcy code, earlier companies were bought by other companies like Tata Steel bought Bhushan Steel, JSW Steel bought one company, ArcelorMittal bought one SR Steel. So from 2018-2017 period, actually consolidation in the sector has started. So if you believe that growth, after a growth comes consolidation period, and from 10 years, no new steel plant has come in India. So that is a sign of consolidation. So after consolidation, what happens? Comes growth. So after all these bankrupt people are bought by, bankrupt companies are bought by strong players, there will come another leg of next growth. So whenever that happens, and just because from the past 10 years, the consolidation has happened, I think that in next 5 to 6 years, there will be a growth phase for the old economy stocks. So apart from that, what has happened? Indian banking industry has just came out of the NPA cycle, or we can say ICU. So whenever a person is in ICU, or if a bank is in ICU, they don't want again to go into ICU. Why? Because it is very painful. And just because of that, bank, what they will do, if you see, if you have seen the situation of Yes Bank, if you have seen the situation of RBL Bank, you will come to understand that these banks were wholesale bank, and they gave lot of loans to wholesale companies and infrastructure companies and all. And because of that, these companies, these banks went like bankrupt. Like Yes Bank went, actually it went to zero. Its book value went to zero just because of that. And uh, just because of that, if a whole banking sector just came out of ICU, then what will happen? Nobody will lend to these sectors for at least 2 to 3 years. In that situation, what happens? If even if JSW Steel wants to set up a steel plant and increase their capacity, if they go to bank will not lend them. Why? Because they have just came out of ICU. That will create a credit crunch in this sector for next at least 3 years. After 3 years, whenever the sector improves, lot of companies may get cash to increase their capacity. So in that situation, what happens? Existing players who are having idle capacity will be benefiting the most. Why? Because there will be no new supply in the sector from the sector, just because no new plants are coming. And if there is increase in demand, the pricing scenario will increase. So just because of that, in that scenario, I think that next 5 to 6 year period will be a period of tight supply, and the demand will increase. I have traveled across the India from Kanyakumari to Northeast and to Gujarat, Rajkot, and all these things, all these places. And I have seen that central government is working on infrastructure at a huge scale. And I can see that happening for next 5-10 years also again. So in that, what case is, old economy stocks depend upon sector spends or infrastructure spends by the government. And just because of that, in the consolidation period, even though the demand was improving, prices were not in supportive with these industries. And because of that, lot of company did not do big profits. However, if the demand is ever increasing and if the supply is tight, this pricing scenario will increase for cement companies. This pricing scenario will increase for power companies and even for steel companies. So because of that, there is a strong case for commodity companies going forward in the medium term, let us say 3 to 5 to 6 years. There is one more reason why I talk about old economy stocks being the leaders of next bull market. The current chart which I am showing is 30, it is a 30-year chart of commodity index. This is a Bloomberg commodity index. Bloomberg commodity index consists of crude oil, it consists of steel and all other commodities. If you have seen, Bloomberg commodity index is trading at 30-year low. If you have seen last time when it made a low, it was between 99 to 2000 period. And from 2000 period, actually commodity prices started making a bull run. From 2000 to 2008 period, commodity prices went up like anything. Lot of commodity became like 3x to 2x kind of prices. Like copper was trading earlier around 200 rupees. It shot up to 400 rupees. Lot of other commodities. Crude oil was trading at a high of 140 rupees. Now the crude oil is trading at 25 rupees. So if you have seen, crude oil was trading at $30 in 2002 period, and 2008 period it was trading at 140. So whenever the crude was down, it was a lull period for old economy stocks. And again, when commodity prices started increasing, lot of these old economy stock created wealth for its shareholders from 2002 to 2008 period. This time situation is not different. Actually, history repeats itself. Whatever has happened in the past will repeat itself in future. That is all what cycle tells. If you understand Ray Dalio also, he talks about market cycle, business cycles and commodity cycles. So if you see in 2020 right now, because of coronavirus, again commodity prices have gone down, and these are bound to revive, because just after every big fall there is a big revival in commodity prices. So so if you can see here also, typical commodity cycle which turns into positive will benefit the investors of low cost manufacturer. See, if you can see here, in 1971, commodity prices were at low. After that, what happened? It created huge price upside from 1971 to 74. Actually, commodity prices went up like 4x kind of something like that. Again, from 1989, if you see, commodity prices were again trading at low. Again, it made a high in 1990. And again, if you see in dot-com bubble, in 1999, commodity prices were down. And in 1990 period, lot of stocks like Steel Authority was also down. Just why? Because only commodity prices were down. And if you see the past, history will repeat itself. Even if you see 2020 right now, again commodity prices are lowering down. You can clearly see that this will repeat again, and again commodity prices will again shoot up in next 5 to 6 years. So in that case, what you need to do is, if the commodity prices go down, lot of people fear that lot of companies may shut down their business. But I am talking about a case where you have to buy debt-free, cash-rich, lowest-cost manufacturer, sector leader, and in case if you find public sector enterprise, mean government companies, which will give you a safest kind of opportunity to ride this commodity sector, commodity bull run, and create fortune for yourself. So lot of stocks like Vedanta, it created like 150x kind of return. Same thing will again repeat from 2021 to 2025 period. There are a lot of reasons I have given previously also, and I will be talking about in if the commodity prices are down, what company you need to buy. We need to buy a debt-free, cash-rich, lowest-cost manufacturer, sector leader, and PSE. So, what are the advantages of being this kind of company? See, if a company is debt-free, this company will not have any stress on its balance sheet. Let us say when you are in big debt, you are worried a lot. Same thing applies to the company also. So whenever there is no stress on, wherever there is debt-free, there will be no stress on balance sheet, and there will be high ratings from the credit rating agencies, making them credit whenever everyone is bleeding. Let us say when all people are bleeding in this commodity prices coming down, just because they are having huge debt, and when everyone is bleeding, all the people may go bankrupt, but this person, this company which is debt free, cash rich, will not have any impact. Why? Because others are bleeding, this company is not having any debt, and even if they want to buy other company, they can get if they have cash with them, they can buy with that. And if they don't have cash with them, just because earlier they have not taken any debt, they have a good credit score, and because of that, bank will lend to them even during the tough period. So this helps the company to remain out of the cyclical realities of the industries. Lot of people, see, from last 6 to 8 months, I'm talking about this idea to lot of people, but still they are not convinced, just by thinking that cyclical companies actually in their bad period erode their wealth and something like that. But I want to tell you all people that, see, in cyclical company, and if it is a company which is a debt-free companies, it is staying away from a cyclical realities of the industry. The company which we are going to discuss now, in last 8 periods was a bad period for metal companies, and still in that bad period, again, this company did not do a single cash loss in 10 years. So if a company is having debt-free, cash-rich balance sheet, it does not affect to them, and these companies are remaining out of the cyclical realities of the industry. So this company will be the last man standing during the period of bad phases. Why? Because every others are bleeding, they may shut down their shops, and this company which is debt free can buy other companies and become big in this bad period. So these companies which are debt free, cash rich, lowest cost manufacturer will be standing tall. If a company is having lowest cost manufacturer in world, that company can survive for long compared to others. Why? Because its lowest manufacturing price is too low, it will not have any big impact, and still even after when others are making loss, this can do a profit. So ability to expand through inorganic way by buying stressed but valuable assets at rock bottom prices. Let me give you example. Let us say in this coronavirus scare, lot of people are running out of cash, and if this induces a recession or a depression, lot of people may lose their job. And when the people lose their job, if they don't have cash with them in their hand, what people will do? Either they will sell gold, and if they don't have any gold, they will sell their land, they will sell their house, and they will go somewhere else to rent a property, and they will survive. So whenever such distress sale happens, whenever a cash rich person is having, he will ask that property at rock bottom price. So this is what happens with the cash rich debt free company when the sector is in bad phase and other companies are bleeding. So this ability creates a huge moat for such companies which are debt free, cash rich, and lowest cost manufacturer. And because of that, what happens? Just because they have bought at rock bottom valuation, again when the valuation improves, it creates value creation for the shareholders by the company. So today we will be discussing about National Aluminium Company. So National Aluminium Company is a government company which is debt free, cash rich, and lowest cost manufacturing company, which is working in aluminium sector. So this company I have found in old economy stock which can create fortune for us. So National Aluminium Company is a Navratna PSC. As I have told you, it was established on 7th January 1981. It has its operation in metal mining and power. It registered a net profit of 1,732 crore, which was highest in the decade. See, 2018-2019 was a bad period for all commodity companies. At the same point of time, this company did a profit of 1,700 crores on just sales of 10,000 crores. So they were doing a net profit margin of 17% even during bad phases. So if you see the government company, as it is a government company, government is holding 51% shareholding out of the total. It is one of the largest integrated bauxite, alumina, and aluminium power complex in the country. So this is not just an aluminium company. It has its own bauxite mines. From bauxite, companies convert bauxite into alumina first, and alumina is converted into aluminium. So 4 kg of bauxite is required to manufacture 1 kg of alumina, and again 4 kg of alumina is required to manufacture 1 kg of aluminium. So if 16 kgs of bauxite is there, there will be 1 kg of aluminium, as simple as that. This company has a production capacity of 68 lakh ton per annum bauxite and 21 lakh ton per annum alumina refinery, and they are having 4.6 lakh ton per annum aluminium smelter. So with this you can see, if a bauxite is having a capacity of 68 lakh divided by 4, it comes around like 68 divided by 4, 17. So they are having the alumina refinery of 21 million ton, and aluminium they are having 4.6 lakh ton. So that ratio is in that 4:4:1. So something like that. So Nalco has bulk shipment facilities at Vizag port for export of alumina, aluminium, and import of caustic soda, and also utilizes the facility at Kolkata and Paradip ports. This company is going into expansion. Actually, I will be telling you about that. If you see numbers which are latest, this company has a market cap of 5,600 crores. Current price is around 30 rupees 40 paisa. I have told all my JV partners we were waiting for the right price to buy in big quantities. I told my clients and the JV partners to buy in like 1 lakh quantity of Nalco. We were waiting for 27 rupees. This is just the disclaimer. Why? Because there was lot of logic why we were waiting for 27 rupees. So we bought in at 25 to 27 rupees. So in big quantities. So its 52-week high is 56 rupees and 52-week low, which it made recently, was 24 rupees 40 paisa. It is giving you a dividend yield of 15%. It is having a face value of 5, and it is a debt-free, cash-rich company actually. So debt to equity is 0.01, as low as that. If we have to see the production highlights, in 2018-19, it did a production of 72 lakh metric ton, 72 lakh metric ton of bauxite, 21 lakh metric ton of aluminum hydrate, 4 lakh 40,000 metric ton of aluminum, and 6 lakh 6,200 CPP of electricity, and wind energy of 363 units. So why I'm talking about this company is because this is a cash-free, cash-rich and debt-free company. See, this company is having a cash of around 3,500 crores on its balance sheet. So right now the market cap of this company is 5,000 crore, and cash on the balance sheet is around 3,500 crore. Actually, if you deduct that cash, because as it is a debt-free company, if you deduct 5,000 crores, if you deduct 3,500 out of 5,000 crores, you will get a company's valuation at just 1,500 crores. So current net worth of this company is 11,000 crores. Just because of some, I think I have missed that slide. The company's current net worth is 11,000 crores, and current market cap is just 5,000 crore, which means what all comes in net worth: cash on balance sheet, inventories, and land and assets, and whichever they can sell. So if we liquidate the company today, this company, as this company is debt free, all these 11,000 crores will be distributed among the shareholders after the liabilities, if any. I don't see any liabilities for this company. So right now, even if you buy, and even if a company, if this company liquidates, again during liquidation, right now the price is 30 rupees and the current market cap is 5,000 crore rupees. So if you buy the whole company, you will get this company at 5,000 crore. However, net worth is 11,000 crore. So you are getting a 100 rupee note at 50 rupees. Adjusted for cash, actually this company you are getting 100 rupee note at 20 rupees. So that kind of valuation you are having. Even after liquidation, you will be getting all those cash and all those net worth on your bank account after liquidation. So it is trading way below liquidation value. If you have seen this, see, this is the profit amount, and in the last 10 years, if you add aluminum profit, chemical profit, electricity profit, and unallocated profit, you will see in last 10 years, this company has not did any cash loss in last 10 years. Why? Because it is the lowest cost manufacturer company in whole world. So even in this bad phase, it has not created loss for its shareholders. However, this company is a dividend darling. Why I tell this company as a dividend darling? If you can see the dividend yield, see just the dividend. This company is continuously paying dividend from year 20. Actually, it is paying dividend from 1992. I was not having space to put all that. Just because of that, I put total data from 2000 to 2020. So if you see the data from 2000 to 2020, it is a consistent dividend paying company. In last year, if you see in 2019, it gave dividend of 90%. If like for a share which is trading at 30 rupees, they gave dividend of 6 rupees and 5 rupees, something like that. They gave a dividend of 90% in February, and in May actually they gave a dividend of 20%, and January 18 again they gave a dividend of 94%. So this company is a dividend darling company. Actually, this company I am recommending for retired people. Why? Because I'll be telling you about that. Why this company I am giving this for retired people. See, what I'll do is after this session, actually, as my laptop was crashed, I could not bring that presentation of how we are getting this company for free. What I'll do is this, only that slide I'll be sharing with you all after the presentation. So let us talk about that later. So if you see NALCO dividend policy, NALCO's dividend policy is that This is the dividend policy which they have given in annual report, and they have to follow as per the government rules. See, this policy states that the company is a central public sector enterprise under the control of Government of India. The company declares dividend as per the guidelines on capital restructuring of central public sector enterprises issued by Department of Investment and Public Asset Management, Ministry of Finance, Government of India. So the guideline mandates that every CPSE should pay a minimum dividend of 30% profit after tax or 5% of the net worth, whichever is higher, subject to the max dividend permissible under the extant legal provisions. So right now, the company's net worth is 10,000 or 11,000 crores. They have to distribute a dividend of 500 crores for its shareholders. So that is a big dividend. So if you can see that with minimum 30% dividend payout, if the story plays out as per my thesis, then we will be getting, in worst case scenario, right now the share price of this Nalco is at 30 rupees, and you will be getting a dividend of 9 rupees on this stock from 2020 to 2025 period. In terms of dividend on an investment of 30 rupees, it is 30% of your money will come back to your home. Base case scenario, this company may do good profits, and that point of time they can give good dividends. At that point of time, you can gain a dividend of 14 to 15 rupees. Right now the share price is 30 rupees. At least 50% of your money will come back to you. In bull case scenario, they will be giving much higher dividend like they did in 2019, 2018. So in that case, you'll be getting a dividend of 45 to 50 rupees. And from 2020 to 2025, I am thinking there will be a strong case. There is a 80% probability that bull case will happen. So from 2020 to 2025, you will get all your money back in terms of dividend. So that is how this company will be going to perform in next 5 years because of this dividend yield. And apart from the dividend yield, I will be telling you operating profit margin. So if you see, this is a P&L. This company is providing you high delta in margins. Delta means change in profits. So this company is giving you high delta in margins, a stock, heaven stock for people understanding investing in cyclical stocks. So if you see, Steel Authority, this Nalco was doing the sales of 4,900 crores in 2008 period. It did a operating profit margin of 45%. So if they were doing sales of 4,900 crore, they actually did a profit of if they were doing operating profit of 45%, in their best case scenario, they did a net profit margin of 32% in 2008 period. So on 32% net profit margin, 4,900 crores into 32% will give you 1,560 crore of profit. So in 2008 period, during their good phase, they did a profit margin of 32%. At the same point of time, if you have seen the last year actually they did a operating profit margin of 9%, and worst NPM, net profit margin, in 2019-20, they did a net profit margin of 2.8%. So if you see, their net profit margin swings from 2.8% to 32%. And from 10 years, from 2008 to 2018, it was a bad phase of Indian economy, and for these commodity companies, just because of that, its margin have fell from 32% to 2.8%. But this thing will not be remain for long. If you have seen the past cycle also, earlier in 2002 period, Nalco was doing a net profit margin of 2%. But in 2008, it was doing a net profit margin of 32%. So we need to buy these companies when they are doing very low net profit margin, and not when they are doing high net profit margin. So this is what Warren Buffett says: price is what you pay, value is what you get. So this is the price and value chart which I have brought to you all. See, this is the price chart of Nalco from 2006 to 2018 period, 2006 to 2020 period. If you see in 2013, Nalco share price was around 25 rupees 38 paisa on 8th August 2013. On 28th August 2015, the share price was of Nalco was around 29 rupees, and on 9th April 2020, it was trading at 29 rupees. Recently, it made a low of 24 rupees 50 paisa. So if you all see, this price is same. If you all see the price in 2013, 2015 and 2020, there is not a big difference. It is trading at the same range. However, I am thinking, I am not looking at the price, I am looking at the valuations. So if we see in 2013, low price which Nalco did was 25 rupees. And at that point of time, book value of Nalco was 46 rupees. Book value means total net worth divided by number of shares outstanding. So if we calculate per share book value, this company was trading at 0.54 times book value. So 100 rupee note you were getting at 54 rupees in 2013. At the same point of time, when the share price was 29 rupees in 2015, its book value increased. Just because its profit increased, whatever the profit increased, that all went into their net worth. So net worth increased and their book value increased. And whenever the book value increased, in 2015 period, it was trading at a price to book of 0.58, which means that 100 rupee note you are getting at 58 rupees. So at the same point of time in 2020, the share price which it made a low of 25 rupees and it is trading at a book value of 56 rupees today, and the price to book which works out today is 0.44 times. So you are getting a 100 rupee note at 44 rupees. So price is same, however the valuation wise this company is much cheaper than 2013, it is much cheaper than 2015, and it is much cheaper. So I'm not looking at, so if you see the price to book for Nifty, it is trading at 2 times, and you are getting this company way below Nifty valuation. Just because of that, I don't look at Nifty, I don't look at markets at all. I'm just focusing on my companies and what all valuation I am getting. So see, this is an example of greater fool theory. Why we will be creating huge wealth in Nalco is because of this theory. So if you understand this theory well today, you are bound to make huge wealth for you, huge fortune for you in upcoming 5 to 6 years. So let us talk about greater fool theory. So see, on left hand side there is valuation, and on right hand side or on vertical side it is valuation, on horizontal side it is time. So first of all, it is every stock which has to create wealth for its shareholders or fortune for its shareholders. First of all, it is in stealth mode. Stealth mode means it is not moving from the past 5-10 years. So that is the phase. However, after some point of time, so that is the time when smart money moves in. So if you are listening to this webinar, you will be smart investors. So smart money moves in when nobody thinks about buying these stocks. So smart money moves in when nobody wants to buy. After that, what happens? There is a takeoff of that share price just because of some positiveness or trigger. There may be some government news. There may be, just like a lot of pharma companies are having that situation now. But personally, I don't think that pharma will do big profits in next 3 years at least. I will be looking at pharma after 2013, 2023. But why? Because I don't have any circle of competence in pharma. However, at the same point of time, after stealth phase, it comes awareness phase. After awareness is created, lot of people, actually institutional investors, HNI clients, HNI people, other than smart people, they start buying this company just because news has spread that this company will create huge wealth for its shareholders, and because of that HNIs bought, institutions bought. And in this awareness phase, what happens is, after the stock has taken off, it creates like 2x kind of returns for its shareholders just in awareness phase. However, after the stealth phase, whenever there is a takeoff, and after HNIs have bought and institutional investors have bought, actually HNIs don't even buy at this phase also. Actually, HNI phase comes after institutional investors buying. So awareness phase, in this awareness phase, lot of people buy, and there is a big first sell-off just because of some economic news or because of coronavirus, something like that, and because of other any negative news. There is a big sell-off, and because of that sell-off, lot of institutional also exit, and lot of smart money which are not smart enough to hold long, they may exit during this period. After awareness period comes lot of mania phase. In this mania phase, what happens is the people like lot of people which are on media start commenting about this stock just because the stock has moved up. They start talking like ये स्टॉक इतना बढ़ गया, यहाँ से और कितना बढ़ सकता है, something like that. Lot of YouTubers again come on YouTube and tell, and there is lot of media attention, and because of this media attention, lot of general public and most of the poor retail investors get into this phase. Still it is early for them, so still they make money, but lot of investors who are public retail investors, they do research, they enter during this period, and still they create like they are sitting at big profits. However, at some point of time, lot of public enters, and their phase comes there comes a phase of greed, and wherever there is greed, whoever retail investor, they cannot control their greed itself. But at this point of time, who were the earlier buyers, these buyers, smart investors, smart money, at that point of time they start getting out. And whenever there is a first fall, again lot of retail investor and media again they talk about all these companies, and again the share price go up a little. However, this is a bull trap. Why? Because lot of smart investors have already exited, and there is not much value, because smart investors enter on valuations, they enters on very low valuations, and they exit whenever the valuations are fair, or they think that lot of money they have created. So at that point of time they exit, and lot of because of another any big news of economic news, or any terrorist attack, or any coronavirus, or any pandemic, something like that happens, and there is a big fall. Or even in last phase in 2018, long-term capital gain tax was such kind of news. Because of that, what happened, lot of stocks came down. So during this phase, what happens, whatever how much it was went up just because of public, again it comes down to institutional level purchase price. But at the same point of time, before the panic itself, institutional, some of them have already exited, some of them couldn't exit, but smart money already exited. And this point of time, what happens, this stock goes down too low that lot of people think that this company is dead again, and again the same thing repeats. So this is what repeat with all these commodity companies, and this is called as greater fool theory. Greater fool theory means just thinking that पिछले 15 दिन से, पिछले 20 दिन से, पिछले एक महीने से स्टॉक बढ़ रहा है, तो अगला 10 दिन बढ़ेगा. लॉट ऑफ टेक्निकल एनालिसिस विल कम, लॉट ऑफ टेक्निकल एनालिसिस विल टेल दैट ट्रेंड में है स्टॉक, ट्रेंड में है, ट्रेंड पकड़े चलो, एंड लॉट ऑफ इन्वेस्टर्स अगेन विल बाय दिस स्टॉक, एंड जस्ट फॉलोइंग दिस ट्रेंड there will be a greater fool theory which will be taking place, and this will create a huge bull run in stock market. So if you have understood this greater fool theory, you'll understand how we are going to create wealth in Nalco. So earlier example of greater fool theory is, see, Rain Industries. Rain Industries from 2009 to 2017 period, it was trading in the same range. So at that point of time, smart investors entered. At this point of time, in Rain Industries, Monish Pabra entered at 35 rupees. So at that point of time, no retail investors never looked at this company, and however they looked at this company when the stock went up like 10x from that price. Actually, lot of stock people are having Rain Industries in their portfolio, bought at 300, 350 rupees. and Rain Industries went up like anything. For Monish Pabrai, he made like 10x return on that, but he was unable to sell just because he don't want to sell in 5 years. He thinks that this price will become like 5,000 rupees in next 10 to 15 years, and he did not sell a single share. So still he is holding that. So this and Monish Pabrai was not following technicals. So somebody who is not following technicals, or maybe his vision is too long to hold this long for another 10-15 years, and because of that he wants to hold that this company for long. We don't know that. So because of this, what happened, there was huge wealth created because of greater fool theory. Huge wealth created in stocks. One more example, HEG. If you see, it was trading in one range. Actually, if you had bought at 2008 and if you had held by 2017, you were still again down by 15%. But it was trading at the same range, and a lot of smart investors bought in between 2015 to 2016. At least I know at least 5 to 6 investors. They bought like they sold their house and they sold their cars to buy HEG in 2015-16. So I know some kind of smart investors, they bought like this, and they created huge wealth. And just because they were smart investors, they also exited partially, and after that they were able to exit. The stock went up to 4,400. Lot of people could exit at this stock at 2,000, 2,500, something like that. So HEG was an example of greater fool theory. Nalco was also part of greater fool theory from 2002 to 2008 period. If you have seen, if somebody had bought at right valuation in 2002 or rock bottom valuation in 2002, Nalco created like 15x in 6 years. And what is now the current situation in Nalco? This is smart money phase. This is smart money phase. This is not a big change. See, the stock is trading in between 30 to 19. This is a smart phase. Why? Because even if you see here, high made in 2008 was 800 and low made in 2017 was 300. So 800 to 300, it was smart money phase. So even now, Nalco, it made a low of 25 rupees in 2013. It made a low of 27 rupees in 2016. Now it is trading at 27, 28, something like that. So we are trading at very rock bottom valuation. Maybe on valuation front, we are already trading at below compared to other valuation front. So right now, price wise also, we are trading at lower valuation, lower prices. So we are right now into smart money phase. So whenever the smart money phase will be followed by accumulation phase by institutionals, and after that media will buy, and this stock will become huge multi-bagger going forward. So why I am saying this stock will become multi-bagger, just based on greater fool theory, we cannot rely on this stock. We need to calculate how much profit this company is going to make. Only if this company is going to make big profit, only then greater fool theory will work. Otherwise, stock will remain in the same range for another 10 years. So it is very important, if you believe in greater fool theory, and you need to calculate that how much how much profit this company can make in next 5 to 6 years. See, right now, current capacity, installed capacity of Nalco of bauxite is 68 lakh ton per annum. By the end of 2021, they have already taken approval after Pottangi mines. The mine name is called as Pottangi, and after Pottangi mines, their capacity to produce or mine bauxite will increase from 68 lakh ton per annum to 143 lakh ton per annum. So there will be 2x increase in bauxite mining. However, alumina, which is produced by processing bauxite, out of 68 lakh ton per annum, whatever the capacity they have, they use that capacity, bauxite to produce alumina, and from that alumina, they are having a capacity of 21 lakh ton per annum, and this they already deployed a lot of cash for that expansion by 2021 end, and whatever the cash they have deployed, they have not taken any debt for the expansion. That is the greatest thing about this company. Whatever the internal cash generated, they have generated from the past 10 years, they have used that cash to expand the capacity. So capacity of alumina will be increased from 21 lakh ton to 31 lakh ton. If you see aluminum capacity, if 21 lakh ton per annum alumina capacity leads to 4.6 lakh ton per annum capacity, and they are working at 100% capacity utilization. So if they are having a capacity of 4.6 lakh ton per annum, they are producing more than 4.6 lakh ton per annum. And that capacity will increase to 9.6 lakh ton per annum by 2021 end. Currently, they are having a power capacity of 1,200 megawatt, and by 2021 end, they will be increasing this. By mistake, somehow it has came like 25 there. Just ignore that. So current sales, as per the current prices, you have already seen that commodity prices are at 30-year low. And even if the commodity prices are at 30-year low, this company is doing a sales of 11,400 crores. So at 11,400 crores, they are doing a net profit margin of 2.8%. By 2025, looking at the capacity expansion in 2021, if they ramp up their capacities and they produce more aluminum, they can do a sales of 17,500 crores by 2025 in the bear case. Bear case means aluminum prices are low. Whenever even if the aluminum prices are same like now, then also this company will be doing a sales of 17,500 crores. And by 2025, base case, if the aluminum prices increase by, let us say 25%, and this company, if the aluminum prices increase, automatically your sales will increase just because of the volume increase. Volume remaining same and price increase will bring you 20,000 crore of sales by 2025 in 1 year. And by 2025, in case of bull case, this if the prices rise by 30 to 50%, which is very much possible. So in that case, this company can do a sales of 24,000 crores. And in case of privatization, this government doesn't have cash with them. If you have seen the news that they are selling LIC, and if they are going to sell LIC, this cash-rich debt-free company, they will sell it first. This will be first company for the government to go privatize. Why? Because this company, if they are selling LIC, how they cannot sell this? The government doesn't have cash with them. So in case of privatization, they can do a sales of 24,000 crores by 2025. So just looking at net profit margins, I already told that worst case scenario, they are doing a net profit margin of 2.8%. And in the best case scenario, they are doing a net profit margin of 32%. But I am not talking about 32%. Let us talk about worst case scenario net profit margin of 2.8% and base case scenario profit margin of 15% and best case scenario profit margin of 25%. So by 2025, if there is a bear case I'm talking, they will do a net profit margin of 2.8%, and on that they will do a net profit of 490 crores. And by if a company is in base case, this base case, they will be doing a net profit margin of 15%. They can do a net profit of 3,600 crores. In case of bull phase, they can, if the prices increase in aluminum, they can do a net profit margin of 25%, and they can do a net profit of 6,000 crores. And in case of privatization, again, they can do, in case of privatization, their net profits will not increase. Why? Because this is already a lowest cost manufacturer. However, what happens is whenever privatization happens, the companies, government companies which don't get valuation much, these private companies get much higher valuation. So we will be talking about that. So even in case of bull phase and privatization, this company can do a net profit margin of 6,000 crores at a margin of 25%. I'm talking of very low margin, 25%. In 2008, actually they did a net profit margin of 30 to 33%. So no, I'm not even talking about that. If you see in 2007 period, they did a net profit margin of 35%. So I'm just, in bull case, I'm talking about only 25%. So these are all scenarios, these are all possibilities we need to check. So if a net profit in 2025 in bear phase, if they do a net profit of 490 crores, the book value of that company will be 75 rupees. And if 75 rupees, so in base case scenario, if a company do a net profit of 3060 crores, book value will be increased to 90 rupees from the 56 rupees currently. Why will book value increases? This company will be doing consistent profit from 2001 to 2005 period, and whatever the profits are going to be generated, either they will go to bank account or they will go towards investment, which will increase their net worth. And whenever there is an increase in net worth, automatically book value will also increase. So by 2025, the book value, if the company does a net profit of 3060 crores, there will be increase in book value from 56 rupees to 90 rupees. And in case of bull phase, this book value may again increase to 120 rupees. And even if this company becomes private, there is not much big room for book value increase, because even if they go private, and right now they are working as a private company only, just because of government tag. Actually this seems like a government company. Their production capabilities, their operational cost are much way below than Vedanta, compared to Vedanta for alumina. So if we see in case of privatization also, this book value won't increase, but it will remain at 120 rupees by 2025. So if we look at various price to book, even in the bear case scenario, bear case means prices of commodities are very low, and at the same point of time, stock market doesn't have any interest. It is same like now. So even if the markets are bad like now in 2015, just because of its price increase, this company right now it is trading at 0.5 times book value, and current market cap is 5,000 crores in current sales. And by 2025, this company can do a 0.7 times book value, price to book. And if the book value is 75 rupees, just calculate 75 into 0.7, you will get a share price target of 52 rupees or market cap target of 9,000 crore rupees. So by 2025, this stock will be trading in between 50 to 55 rupees. If you calculate in the base case, if the prices of commodities move higher by 30%, this company can do a book value of 90 rupees, and this company can trade at a book value of 1.5 times. And that time the price of this share will be 130 to 150 rupees, and possible market cap will be 30,000 crores. Current share price is just 30 rupees. So in that case, in bear case scenario, we'll be getting 2x kind of return. In base case scenario, we'll be getting like 5x kind of return. And in bull case scenario, and even in this company remains a government company and doesn't privatize itself, and still this company will be trading at 3 times book. Why I am saying this is because I have seen in 2008 period, this company was actually trading at 4 times book during the good times. So whenever the good times comes, we will not talk about 4 times book, but we may talk about 3 times book. So even in that case, during bull case, if the book value is 120 rupees, the share price of this will be 3 times book, which is 360 rupees. So at that point of time, the market cap of the company will be 90,000 crores. Current share price is just 30 rupees. 30 rupees. And if you do a rough calculation, 360 divided by 30 gives you 12x kind of return in case of bull phase. and even this company, if it becomes privatized, there will be big valuation. If you see, Vedanta became 150x from 2002 to 2008 period. Why? Because Vedanta was a private company, and private company will get big valuation. And private company, if this company becomes private, this can get. Last time Vedanta was trading at 10 times book. I am not even talking about that kind of. And there is a strong possibility that I feel personally that Nalco will be bought by Vedanta itself. So we may get even 10 times book, but we will not talk about that. Let us talk about 4 to 5 times book. So even at 4 to 5 times book, if the book value increased to 120 rupees, the share price will be trading at 540 rupees to 600 rupees. Right now, the share price is trading at 30 rupees. So by 2025, the share price will be at 600 rupees, which will give you 20x kind of returns. I am just taking the conservative numbers depending upon various situations and various scenarios. So this is what is the scenario of Nalco. Heads I win, tails I don't lose at all. But still again, if this stock I am giving this to retired people, from that you can understand that how safe it is. How I am giving this to retired people, I will be discussing on WhatsApp or I will be discussing on chat. What I will do is we will be discussing on that. Actually, I forgot that presentation in this, that slide in this. What I will do is during chat session and question answer session, we will be talking about that. So hope you have understood each and everything, various scenarios, various profit scenarios, various sell scenarios, price to book scenarios, and greater fool theory and each and everything about Nalco. Nalco is a debt-free, cash-rich company. Heads I win, tails I don't lose at all. It is a government company, so there is no risk of losing money because of fraud. And personally, I was finding a stock to put 50% of my net worth. I want to sell my land and buy this company. Just because of that, I was waiting for half times book. Because even during bad phase, during the last time, it came down to half times book. We have already seen that. And current book value is 56. Half times book maybe means 26, 27 rupees. So from long time, I was waiting for 25, 26 rupees to buy in big quantity. For small quantity, I may buy at 40 rupees, I may buy at 50 rupees. But if I want to buy like 1 lakh quantity on Nalco, I have to wait for that rock bottom valuation. Right now, because of this corona, I think that this company we are getting at that valuation. And even though if we talk about valuation front, current market cap of the company is 5,000 crore, and inventory and cash, they are having 4,500 crore. Actually, we are getting this company for free. We are getting this company for free, adjusted for cash. So even if this company goes down to 15 rupees also, let us say if 1 lakh death happen in India, because nobody is able to tell that how long this corona will go and how deadly it will be. So personally, I am prepared for all those things. I am staying safe. I am staying indoor. There are a lot of stupid people who are not following rules. Just because of that, if 1 lakh death happens in India, we may even see 20 rupees or 15 rupees in Nalco. But I am least worried. Why? Because aluminum is a commodity which has been on earth from last 2000 years or 4000 years. Why it cannot survive? This commodity cannot survive for another 10 years. So that is very simple. So do you all think that humanity is going to die because of coronavirus? If you think like that, then your money in bank is also not safe. And even if you keep that money in bank, how does that matter if you are going to die tomorrow? So if you believe that you are going to live, and if you know the valuations, even if the stock price goes down, you should not worry. Personally, I have bought in huge in Nalco, and I'm even if it goes down to 15 because of depression, Great Depression, by 2025 we will be. It may be Great Depression for 1 more year, but whenever we are out of Great Depression, it may, instead of 2025, it may take 2026 or 2027. Just we have to increase the time horizon, just because of, and you will get a opportunity to buy at very low valuation. So if right now in bull case scenario, if the stock has the potential to go to 500, and if the stock goes down to 15, right now if the stock price is 30, you are getting like 20x kind of return potential. And if the stock goes down to 15 rupees, you have a potential of making 33x. So as simple as that, this is a debt-free cash-rich company. This company will not shut down. Second thing is, this is a government company. As safe as that. On a valuation front, this is trading at free valuation, deducted for cash. And apart from that, I will be telling you one excellent strategy. Even if you have 1 crore with you, and if you invest 1 crore rupees in Nalco, I guarantee you that if you follow this strategy, you will not lose a single rupee. If you understand this strategy, during question answer session, we will be talking about that. How to put even 1 crore rupee in Nalco and not lose a single rupee. And by 2025, even if our thesis go wrong, you will be getting your 1 crore rupee back. So I will be talking about that strategy just during question and answer session. Just stay alive, just stay here, and I will be talking about that. So upcoming webinars I will be taking, you all can take this snapshot. I will be sharing this also in group. So I am ready to give these all webinars in upcoming future. Right now I am taking 3 courses. First is Technofunda, which is a live course, which is charged at 5,000 rupees. Second is Value Investing Masterclass, 7,500. And third course which I am teaching is how to be your own financial planner in 10-step process. So if you are thinking that you are going to pay lot of fees to your financial planner, you can do this course in just 3,000 rupees. So these all 3 courses I am bringing to all you people. Just make big use of it. See, this is the course, Value Investing Masterclass at 7,500. It is a course of 4 weekend. Second thing is how to identify stock, how to identify winning stock which are having sound fundamentals. So this is Technofunda course, which I am taking in only 5,000 rupees. So apart from that, this is the course, third course, be your own financial planner in 10 step. I am taking that course in just 3,000 rupees.